Subtypes of metabolic imbalance. I feel it should be referred to as a state of metabolic imbalance or disorder. There can be subtypes such as oxidative stress, carbohydrate intolerance, fat metabolic impairment or imbalance, insulin-resistant, insulin deficiency, elevated fatty acids, metabolic inflammation. There are different definitions of the metabolic syndrome and some proposed by the World Health Organization, the European Group for the Study of Insulin Resistance, the National Cholesterol Education Program Adult Treatment Panel 3, the American College of Endocrinology and American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, and the latest International Diabetes Federation definition, which includes ethnic-specific waist circumference statistics and cutoff points. These definitions share several features and they have limitations. There are different definitions that are being evaluated. There is a need for a standardized definition of the metabolic syndrome and one for metabolic impairment. Since there are 97 million Americans with insulin resistance, it is logical that many more cannot process carbohydrates. Based on my research, there have been limited understanding of metabolic problems due to lack of tests that can detect these problems. There are differences in children, so this needs recognition as well. Studies are needed to validate the importance of these classifications. As new information becomes available, the definitions of the metabolic syndrome and metabolic impairment will be modified. This study includes a comparison of definitions of the metabolic syndrome in adult Asian Indians, by Wazir J.S. et al., in the J.S. Sock Physicians India, 2008 56 to 158-64, they state the optimum definition of the metabolic syndrome is not known. We compared international definitions of MERS with two proposed candidate definitions in adult Asian Indians. Data from 3 previous cross-sectional studies carried out in North India were analyzed. Maximum overall and gender-specific prevalence of the MERS was observed using the definition, which included modified cutoff points of WC, BMI, and IFG in addition to other defining parameters. Compared to other definitions, this proposed candidate definition maximally detected presence of MERS in subjects with IFG and diabetes. 10.5% of subjects who did not have abdominal obesity had presence of at least 3 risk variables of the metabolic syndrome. These data indicate that by making abdominal obesity a mandatory criterion would lead to missing of some cases of the metabolic syndrome. This is another reason for my belief is that the metabolic classification needs to be based on new tests for metabolic impairment. By including BMI and making waist circumference as a non-obligatory criterion, more cases of the metabolic syndrome are detected. For Asian Indians, making waist circumference as mandatory variable in the definition of the metabolic syndrome would lead to non-inclusion of nearly 11% cases that would otherwise be diagnosed as metabolic syndrome according to modified NSEP, ATP3 definition.